Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Every once in a while, a movie or a song, or in this case, a board game will come around and touch a generation. In this case, it's Catan, or Settlers of Catan. Really had this big boom that really helped the hobby grow, but also gave entertainment to a lot of people for a long period of time. And Catan is still a game that's sold. You can buy sneakers and plush dolls. There's all kinds of things that are going on with Catan. Well, this is the children's version of it, and that should come as no surprise that they would bring it down a little bit and make it easier for children to play, and they have, and it's called Catan Junior. And in this one, instead of building the city of Catan, which doesn't make any sense, you're pirates in this one, and you are trying to get a number of layers built. You're trying to get 7 pirate layers. I guess pirates are into real estate too. Sure, why not? And you're going to be doing the whole thing with the robber, which is a pirate ghost now, will be going around, and you're going to do some trading, but instead of trading with each other, which is an advanced variant, you'll be trading kind of with some face-up tiles, and you'll have the supply you can do a 2-for-1 trade for, and you're just trying to get those resources that you need. It's a great introduction for children, not only to a game that's perhaps not a roll and move or a spin and move they may be used to, but also a stepping stone into Catan. And this is one I've had a lot of fun with my kids, of teaching them that trade, learning how to value things, but you also have that familiar die. That die that will crush you at times or not come up the way that you want, and people kind of like that. And when it hits and you hit big, get that big moment. And Catan Junior is a really good, strong addition to a children's gaming library, and one I can easily recommend to you. Your kids will have a good time. The pirate thing they're going to like. I think it's going to be very easy for them to pick up this trading aspect, and I think this is one that most kids should have in their gaming collection. Catan Junior, absolute keeper for me, one I highly recommend. Here's Catan Junior. We're going to open it up. You can see just a generic pirate thing. You can see the ghost there. It's pretty neat, I guess. You can have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in another section. You're going to have the board that will be on top. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And you're going to have all of the components kind of thrown in here. It's not really a custom insert whatsoever. So here's the board. You're going to see it is double-sided for a different number of players that you're going to have in the game. But let's take a look at this side of the board for the majority of it. You can see the numbers are all pre-printed on here, so you can't move the islands around too much. It tells you a little bit of player rate up here. If the 6 is rolling, you move the ghost captain, and you'll have your market over here. So here what the component's going to look like. They're going to be made out of cardboard. You can upgrade these if you want to, but I don't really see any need to do this. You're going to have the 5 different resources you'll have here, and you'll have these tiles. Now when you pull these tiles over, they're going to have actions on it you can do. You can see the icons are fairly easy to see. You're going to have a bunch of these that might give you resources or have you move the ghost around or build a building or something. And then you'll have your resources here. You get a player aid. I'll tell you the cost of everything you're playing. You're going to get a 6-sided die. Mine happens to be teal, and you get a little ghost captain that will move around the board. He works like a pirate does in regular Catan. So those will be here. So you're going to get bags of different colors. You can see here the little buildings that you're going to build. These are little miniatures here. You can see that this one has like a skull on it for that. You're going to have your little ship that you can build here, and it'll just kind of give you a bearing of these little things and what they are. They're pretty nice. Little plastic things. They'll hold up well to little fingers, but you can see that they have the orange, the white, the blue, and the red color. So here's the Catan Junior rules. You can see a little bit of a story here in the front. Now this is going to be weird how it kind of pulls out like this. Over here, going to get ready to play. I'll tell you a little bit about the components and what they do. This is going to be setup and turn sequence. And then over here, you're going to start going through what it means to actually play the game. Over here, you're going to see a list of what the tiles will do. You can see pictures with examples. These are some helpful hints in here with the parrot. And then advanced roles if you want trading between the players. End of game and just some credits there. So I think you'll need about 10 minutes to get through this rule book. It's a children's game, so you probably won't have a whole lot of questions. And there's additional rules for advanced. The first thing you notice is the number of players. So this is for a 4-player game up here with those little islands up there. And this will be a 2-player game on this side. So depending on how many players that you have will dictate which side of the board you will utilize. Second, you will fill up the marketplace with an item of each one in this order. Then you will shuffle the cocoa tiles and set them aside. The ghost captain will start out in the middle. Everybody will grab the items of their color, and the die is set next to the board. At that point, each player will grab 1 wood and 1 molasses. And then you will take a ship and a building and put them out on your circles. And that will get you set up and ready to play. The first thing you do is roll the die. And whatever you die, so let's say I rolled a 3, then anybody who has a layer next to a 3 in one of these spaces will be able to get a gold. And that gold will come from the supply. And this one over here will also activate it. Anybody had anything here, orange would have a starting one there, then they would grab a wood from the supply, and that will give them more resources. Now, if the 6 is ever rolled, as you can see up here in the corner, then you would pick up the Ghost Captain, and you can move him to any location that you want, and that place would no longer produce resources when it's rolled on the die. So let's say orange did this, they might want to put it here, that way red doesn't get anything when the 4 is rolled. So that's kind of how that will work. Then at this point, you can take as many actions as you want on the board. And this little player aid will show us you can build a layer with one of each item. You can build a ship with a sheep and a wood, or you can get one of the cocoa tiles with gold, molasses, and a sword. So you can build as many of these on your turn as you want. So the cocoa tiles, let's explain those first. This will allow you to move the Ghost Captain. So you don't have to wait for a 6. You can just pick him up if he's blocking you and move him somewhere. This one will give you 2 sheep and 2 swords, and it'll just give you resources. This one will let you build for free. And so a lot of these will just give you resources and then repeat over and over again. So let's talk about layers. You can only build a layer next to a ship. So I could not build it anywhere on the board except for here or over here, because that's where my pirate ship is. So if I wanted to build one and I paid the cost to do so, I can place it next to one of my ships. Ships are the opposite. I can only build a ship next to a layer. So if I had already built that, I could not build one here because there's no layer next to it. So I could build a ship here. I could build one here, here, or here if I paid the appropriate resources. Now, if you ever have the most cocoa tiles because you've purchased the most of these, then you're able to put a layer out here in the middle of the island. That will count towards your victory. If anybody equals amounts, so if say I had 2 and somebody else had 2, then I would have to remove this, and then whoever has the most would go back in. This is a great place to get it where people are competing for it, but you can immediately have that just by buying those cocoa tiles. So another thing you do is trade. Let's say you need a resource and you don't have it. I want to trade this gold. I could trade this gold in and get a sword with the marketplace. I just take my gold, place it up there, and I take a sword. So if I went to the next player's turn, well, there's no sword up there for him to get, right? So he's not able to get a sword if he needs it, but he could definitely trade in, say, his molasses and maybe get a sheep if that's what he wants to do. Now you notice there's no sheep or sword there. But let's say I really need a sheep and there's not one up there. What I can do instead is I could take 2 of my resources, any 2 I want, and I could trade it with the stockpile, not from the marketplace, but from the supply, and gain it. So I can give up 2 to get 1. Or if I'm trading with the marketplace, it's 1 for 1. Now there is an advanced role that you might know from regular Catan where I can just trade with other players. That's always a possibility if you want to do that, but that is an advanced role. The game will end immediately when somebody has their 7th layer. That person will be declared the winner. Remember, the layer in the center here, for having the most cocoa tiles, will count towards the number of layers you have on the board. Who should buy this game? Any parent who has kids they want a game with. They want a kids game with some substance to it. Maybe you're a big fan of Catan and you want to get your kids started. This is a great gift to give somebody on a birthday or a nephew or a niece or somebody who might be interested in playing games with you. This will definitely hit. If you don't have kids and you want to give a gift to a kid, this would be a great way to share board gaming with them. Catan Junior is a big, big hit in this family.